Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Around the Table with the AOTR. I'm Cy Marie, and of course, I'm joined as always by my wonderful co hosts, Kendra Souter and Beverly L. Anderson. Tonight, we're honored to welcome a guest whose work is dedicated to cultivating growth, transformation, and spiritual empowerment, Reverend Sydney Francis. Reverend Francis is the founder of Soul Gardener and the author of Activating Lunar Alchemy, and we're thrilled to dive into her journey and explore the wisdom that she is bringing to the table today. So, welcome to the show, Sid.
Thank you very much. I
Oh,
really
welcome.
appreciate it. I'm excited to be here with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are all ecstatic to have you here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a blessing to welcome you to the table today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
So, Reverend Sydney, can you share the inspiration behind Soul Gardener and how it came to life?
Yes, so Soul Gardener is about, like you said, growth and transformation, but it's also the gardener part is it's inspired by gardening and astrology and energy healing. So it's kind of a weaving of like spiritual growth practices, but aimed at cultivating your own soul growth, your own spiritual growth like you would a garden.
That sounds really awesome. That sounds like you put a lot of work into that. Uh,
Yes. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
oh no, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Um, yes, if I would say I've been developing that about 20, 25 years about, learning about gardening, learning about astrology, learning about energy healing, um, you know, kind of finding like how the pieces all fit together.
That's really cool. It's nice to see somebody dedicated to their work like that. So, on the heels of that, of course, our second question for you is what called you to write Activating Lunar Alchemy? And what do you want readers to gain from it when they read it?
Okay, Lunar Activating Lunar Alchemy is a how-to book of attuning how to attune to the moon cycle for I would say healing and spiritual growth. The tagline is transmuting emotional pain into spiritual abundance. So I guess what I would like readers to gain from it is, when we're growing, or at least in my experience, when I have grown and I see this with the people that I work with, often we as we're in the growth process, we hit our own inner obstacles, like maybe inner conflicts or painful life circumstances, perhaps childhood traumas or, things that we were told as a kid. And the alchemy part is the transformation of those painful experiences, those traumatic experiences into growth that's actually serves you and is valuable to you. So how you serve others or yourself with, you transmute these painful experiences into something that is supportive of you.
So, for listeners who may be new to this, how would you describe lunar alchemy and its role in daily spiritual practice?
Okay. So lunar alchemy is a process of attuning to the four main phases of the moon cycle. So there's like the new moon, the first quarter when you see the moon like half lit up and half dark, the full moon, and then the last quarter moon, which is also like half lit, half lit up. So there's a process of doing a ritual. Of I teach a process of creating a moon wheel, which is a you look at, a self-reflective process, um, that you do a moon wheel at each of these moon phases. And then I would say in terms of daily practice, I encourage people to visualize their goals and dreams daily and take a small step each day towards that. And that will help you get that will help going.
But it definitely sounds amazing. You work in both individual spiritual growth and community empowerment. How do you balance those two paths?
Okay. So I just want to say that my work started in community work. I worked in mental health for governmental organizations and also nonprofits that I worked at a homeless shelter for people with mental illness and substance use disorder. And that was kind of the beginning of my career, and then I was a school teacher before owning this business. So my roots are in community, in community work and community empowerment. But I also so as far as how I balance those, I still do work in both in it for the I serve individuals, but I also do community work. The individual part I think is really important because, communities are made up of individuals and it's like a rising tide lifts all boats. The work and growth that we do on ourselves, positively impacts, our families and our friends and our communities. So I think both the individual growth and healing is important for the collective growth and healing.
So, what has been one of the most transformative lessons you've learned on your own spiritual journey?
One of the most transformative lessons I would say is um, I see the world now as, or my experience, maybe not the objective world, but my experience of the world is a reflection of pretty much what I believe about myself, what's going on in my subconscious, and and so I guess I would say, like, learning to be responsible for myself and my life and my outcomes was a transformative lesson. I mean, this may be a worldview. I don't know if this is the absolute truth or not, but when we approach the world like we're responsible for what we're creating, it's very empowering. That gives us an authority to create our lives around our vision, our, whatever, inspires us.
That's really really phenomenal description. So, I guess my question next is about people who are beginning their spiritual exploration. What would you, what kind of advice would you give them if they're not sure where to start?
I would say, like Joseph Campbell, follow your bliss. Start, wherever you're really excited, enthusiastic, like a book that piques your interest or a podcast that inspires you. I think your higher self, if you will, gives you clues to, like, what you're excited about. So, I would say just follow that's one of the mysteries, follow the mystery of what your soul is guiding you to explore. So for me, for example, that was energy healing early on. I started studying that over 30 years ago. And then I was very interested in astrology. I was very interested in, like, say, gardening with the moon. And, those things have woven together for me into this soul gardening work. And so I guess I would say start with where you really have, yeah, passion and excitement.
I totally agree with that. So, transitioning a little bit, I'm moving to hear how your work touches both personal growth and the wider community and how that has really shaped the depth of your calling here.
Thank you.
Great. So, how has your work as a minister influenced your approach to healing, growth, and teaching?
Thank you, Kendra. I think because I believe in a higher power, like a source, like a one, like we're all part of this oneness. And I believe we have a soul and a higher self. I think that helps me as a healer. I'm skilled as a healer. I've been trained as a hands on healer, but I still call upon my higher self and God, if you want to call it, a source for helping me to do the best work that I can do as far as growth. I think, I was saying something about the subconscious. Like, we really need to call upon what I would say our higher selves or our superconscious if we want growth. If our subconscious was in charge, we would just stay the same and we wouldn't evolve. And for teaching, similar to the healing, I'm always attempting to connect with that higher self and come from that place as a teacher.
All right. Well, next question for you is, in your experience, which sounds like you've got a pretty broad experience to draw from, how can these spiritual practices like lunar alchemy, how can they support people during times of uncertainty and great change?
I think this is thank you, Bev. This is a great question because, as we've maybe experiencing right now in the US and after the pandemic, we've experienced this feeling of uncertainty and change and like flux and like not knowing what's going to happen. And I think spiritual work, but also the lunar alchemy work, it's about going inward and finding your center and your, inner truth, if you will, or what you want to create, who you are, what are your strengths. And I think it's really important. I mean, and I guess cultivating trust of ourselves. And I think it's important when we're facing uncertainty, especially because that brings fear. That's, a lot of people fear uncertainty and change. We have, I think it's important to come back to ourselves and find that inner strength and maybe inner authority, if you will, that gives you a sense of security. Like if you're really centered in yourself, you can respond to any situation, right? So I think it's really important that we come back to ourselves rather than trying to rely on something external for giving us security or happiness or whatever, right? All of that kind of stems from within. And if you have a strong sense of self, you know that you will be able to be resilient in the face of uncertainty, change, or even tragedy or hardship.
That is some profound advice, and I absolutely agree. Introspecting and listening to your intuition so you can cultivate mindfulness is the greatest gem of wisdom for everyone listening. Please heed that advice. Um, Reverend Sydney, who or what has been the most influential force in shaping your spiritual path?
Okay, well, I want to say thank you, Sai, for saying that because I like how you reframed it and rephrased it. I appreciate that about the mindfulness. So, who has been the most influential force? I would say I attended the Crucible program at the Healing Light Center Church to become ordained. That's a seminary program I attended. I would say Reverend Rosalind Brewer, who is the leader of that organization and the teacher, is the person that's been the most influential in shaping my spiritual path.
Well, they sound like an amazing individual, absolutely. So looking forward, what do you envision for the growth of Soul Gardener and your broader mission?
Okay, cool. Soul Gardener. Okay, so what I'm working on right now or kind of what I see for the future is I would like to. Soul Gardener is currently just a regular for-profit business, but I envision a nonprofit, perhaps organization or maybe a foundation. I would like to create some free programming for, I would say, there's kind of some components to that. I envision a spiritual community that's like non-dogmatic. I've been reading a lot about people who've been subject to religious trauma, and so I'd like to have it be a supportive spiritual community but without the traumatic elements, the trauma dogma elements. Uh, but I also have done some team healing work with a variety of practitioners, like say combining energy healing with mental health and physical health. And so I would like to expand that practice of the team healing work because I see, working in these collaborative teams is I think important for the future of healing. And then the last aspect of that would be to create an educational program that goes with the team healing ministry, teaching those teaching what I learned in healing, and then having other practitioners as teachers. So that's what I see as the future of the Soul Gardener work.
That's some amazing future that you've got lined up for you there. I think that's brilliantly put together in a good way to help a lot of people. And just personally, as a mental health professional, I applaud you for applying your skills to those that need it most. And so I'd like to know, what kind of projects are you doing now that are really exciting you?
Okay. Thank you, Bev. I am currently working on an app, mainly as an educational platform for the Soul Gardener work or the lunar alchemy work. It would be for holistic practitioners, spiritual practitioners, maybe even, I would love to work with other trauma informed practitioners to will have the lunar alchemy process in it, but it's really to help people develop their, I would say, income and impact. But I think the emphasis for me, we all need to make a living and, be abundant, but also the impact, when people are asked whether or not they would choose, what would they choose, income or impact? Most people choose impact. So I think that this app that I'm developing is about how these practitioners can, you know, spread their work and make a larger contribution with their work.
That's some pretty honorable intentions, and I really like alongside Bev, I also applaud you for that. Where can our listeners connect with you further to learn more about Soul Gardener and the work that you're doing?
Okay, thank you, Sai. Okay, you can find the Soul Gardener work at www.soulgardener, it's all one, .me, and my book is on currently on Amazon, but if you go to my website, you're welcome to contact me. I can send you a book as well.
Well, Reverend Sydney, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Your work and your wisdom are incredibly inspiring, and I can tell that your impact is great. So we are definitely honored to have shared our space with you tonight.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming to work visit us tonight, and was a very powerful and very uplifting conversation.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, definitely. And we are so grateful for the light you bring to your work and to those that you guide. It's definitely inspirational work that you're doing. And I definitely applaud you, just like Cy and Bev were saying.
Yeah, Kendra's actually got a segment on our regular show called Kendra's Green Thumb, so I think it was interesting how that kind of correlates with you connecting the gardening, and I think that that was really kind of awesome alignment from the universe there. So, as always, thank you to our listeners. Thank you for coming to join us around the table. You can find Reverend Sydney's book, Activating Lunar Alchemy, and her work with Soul Gardener linked in the show notes. And until next time, this has been Around the Table with the AOTR. Have a good night.